Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all so much for taking the time to be on our Clarksville, Tennessee webinar. I'm so excited to be able to go over this market with you folks, as well as my amazing partner, Chris Childs, who I'm going to be introducing shortly. I can tell you, my name is Vince. I'm an advisor. I'll do a little bit more of an intro shortly, but Clarksville has just been one of those amazing markets for us. It's been a good market for a steady flow of quality tenants and it's been having a really good pace for appreciation as well, especially over the last few years. So really excited to have Chris on, who's a resident of Clarksville and has been in that market for a long time. He's going to be able to dive into some exciting news that makes to share with you guys of why Clarksville is a good place to invest. So I am going to go ahead and get us rolling here. So as I mentioned, my name is Vince Tomich. I'm an advisor here at Marshall Reddick. And my primary role as an advisor is basically to learn as much as I can about each individual investor and help guide you through the investment process and to achieve your goals. So a little bit more about myself is I was born and raised here in Southern California. I've been in the real estate industry now for over 7 years. Prior to my role as a realtor and advisor, I was in the mortgage industry for a number of years. And that's where I really learned the value of leveraging money and understanding financing. And I think everybody can agree right now financing is a pretty hot topic as rates has definitely changed a bit from where they were 12 or 24 months ago. So really understanding that has given me a good background and been able to allow me to share a lot of that knowledge with you folks and being able to get through some of the more difficult questions or fears that folks are going through right now. I'm a huge fan of practicing what I preach, and what I mean by that is I'm an investment property owner myself. I've purchased property with Marshall Reddick. I have Marshall Reddick managing property of mine. I've leveraged, the lending and borrowing of Marshall Reddick. So big fan of all of the services we provide obviously from a client standpoint, but also can speak to it from an employee and how they the intricacies of those services work. So it's probably a good transition to explain who Marshall Reddick is and what we do for the folks that may not be familiar. I'm looking at this list of attendees here, and I see a lot of familiar names here, and there's definitely some new names. So I definitely want to take the time to go ahead and explain who we are and what we do. So I like to explain Marshall Reddick as a full service real estate firm, and there's basically 4 services that we provide. So we have our real estate brokerage, our property management, our private money lending, and then our investment funds. So for our real estate brokerage, right, we help people buy and sell real estate, whether it's a primary residence. So I'm here in Southern California, whether it's a primary residence here in Southern California, or if it's in one of our markets outside of California, whether that be Texas, Tennessee, or Florida. We help the buying and selling of, we can do the brokerage in any of those markets. For property management, right, 99% of the folks that do end up buying an investment property are going to need property management. So we offer everything from A to Z on that aspect. Everything from marketing the property to collecting rent to screening the tenants, any kind of maintenance request. We'll also, do the, end of the year tax reporting that's required, and this is all done through our software, and we're able to provide and track all of the metrics that an owner would be interested in keeping an eye on. Our third service is private money lending. So we have an interesting platform where we are a lender, right? And most of that is that's our private lending. So let me give you some examples of people that borrow from us. Typically, it's going to be folks that are looking to do fix and flips on homes, right? Maybe if you buy a home cash and you need to do extensive renovations, and the conventional lender obviously doesn't do that, so you would need private money to accomplish that loan. Or let's say, for example, you're somebody like myself. I'm self-employed. I have a self-directed or a solo 401k, so it's a self-directed retirement account. And if you want to buy property within that retirement account, you would need a private loan, or what's better, more specifically, a non-recourse loan. That is something that Marshall Reddick is able to provide through our borrowing, through our private lending. On the flip side of that, you'll see like our fourth service as an investment fund. So, I just spoke about who borrows money from us. Well, in that same breath, we give our investors the opportunity to lend money to those borrowers, right? And the same way you can invest in real estate, we offer the opportunity to invest in mortgages. These are all first lien position mortgages, and it's all exclusively investment property. So the nice thing is your loan or your money is secured by a very a tangible asset, and we do a lot of underwriting to ensure the quality of which the loans we're originating we're in a good position on. Then there's two ways to invest your money via lending. You can lend money directly. So what I mean by that is one borrower, one lender. You would literally fund one specific borrower's project, whether that's short-term or long-term. The other alternative to that is we have a mortgage fund, which is pooled money. So it's money from, let's say, everybody on this webinar tonight. We contribute to the mortgage fund, and then our fund manager, Patrick Prunty, would be the one responsible for originating and funding the specific loans that gets through our system. That's a more passive way where you're collecting a quarterly distribution, and ultimately it's a nice alternative to maybe investing in real estate for those of you that may want to sit on the sidelines or just have a different expectation of return. So that's a little bit more of detail of who we are and what we do and our services that we provide. But ultimately, my goal is to make the process of investing as seamless as possible, and that's going to be by educating and introducing our key players that make it all work. So I'm just definitely one of those people, and I'm going to be introducing Chris and explaining a bit more as we move on. Just wanted to quickly highlight the topics that we're going to cover tonight. You guys are here to learn a little bit more about Clarksville, Tennessee, and what's going on in this market. We're going to talk about Clarksville and its proximity to Nashville, which is definitely a city that most of you have heard about and understand a bit more. We're going to introduce you to the team. Again, myself, I'm an advisor, as well as our realtor Chris here, who's going to talk a little bit more about the market, property management. And then lastly, we're going to actually go over some properties that we have and kind of work through those pro formas and give you guys an opportunity to look at live properties. One thing I will tell you is, feel free to take notes, jot down questions. We'll try to get to some questions at the end of this presentation. And if we don't, I'm going to be doing follow-up calls after this presentation, most likely tomorrow and the next day. And we can set up more one-on-one calls, or if you want to just set up a call with myself and Chris, here's a way that you can schedule that now. So there's a little a QR code here, or you have my contact on the screen. I'll show this again towards the end. Hopefully we can do a good enough job here to where you're going to want to jot this email and phone number down. But yeah, this is my contact in the event that you do want to set up more of a one-on-one conversation, and we can go from there. So with that, I just wanted to quickly cover, this is the basically, Marshall Reddick has 12 different offices across the country. Tonight we're going to be focusing in on Clarksville. But nonetheless, these are markets where we actually have a physical presence. And what I mean by that is we have boots on the ground, real estate agents, property management. We actually have buildings, that we work out of. And it really gives us a lot more control in the ability to better serve our clients by having that physical footprint and that presence in those markets. One thing that we, and obviously, by leveraging our resources, it comes with our contacts, right? We have plenty of contacts, whether it's in the property management world, real estate world, where we can assist and make sure that your property is well taken care of, even post-closing, because that's the most important part to this whole investing element is the management after the fact, right? Closing a 30-day escrow isn't ultimately the biggest challenge. I think it really, a lot of that time is spent post-close managing the property for a number of years and making sure we have a good relationship. So basically wanted to outline all of the areas we're in to show that support and that footprint that we do have, and it's definitely growing. Whoops, we're going backwards here. Okay. So a little bit about how we choose the markets that we're investing in. So, why Clarksville? We're going to go into more specifics of Clarksville, but we have taken the time to vet out specific markets that we want to focus on. I think it'd be fair to say that we can, all agree that not every single market across the US is a good market to invest in. And this is some key criteria that we feel support a strong investment market. So, obviously we want to see a good job market. It's ideal for, our tenants to have the ability to have multiple resources to create income and pay for that rent, right? So that's important. Low vacancy rates are ideal. Economic diversity. We don't want to rely on one industry or just one employer. It's really critical. Housing affordability, right? So for those of you that are in Southern California, or just honestly almost anywhere in California, you guys can see that the prices here, right? It's sometimes difficult when these prices, when home prices are at levels of where they are, to make investments work. That's a different conversation for a primary residence, but when we're looking for investment property, sometimes it is more challenging to make that work. And therefore, we like to target markets that make a little bit more sense. Clarksville definitely being one of those. Landlord friendly is extremely important. There's many states in the country where it's very heavily tenant friendly. And then there's markets and states that we're in that are much more landlord friendly. And we'd like to encourage our investors to at least consider those that are more landlord friendly, as you're going to, be a landlord and want those rules on your side. Strong education, right? Having good schools, and that's obviously a main driver and a good driver for a lot of folks. And then last but not least, reliable property management. So you don't want to be in a city so small that there's only one contact to help manage your property. You want to make sure that you're with a quality, reputable company like Marshall Reddick that knows the local rules and regulations that you're going to need to be aware of when managing property and when being an owner. So it's definitely something that we pride ourselves on, and we put a lot of effort into supporting our management staff to make sure we're offering the best service we can. Okay, folks, and without further ado, I want to introduce our Clarksville, one of our top Clarksville agents, Chris Childs. Currently lives in Clarksville, Tennessee, so he is going to be a phenomenal resource for us to go over this market and to also be, someone that we reach out to for more questions as we get into more specifics about each individual situation. But I'll go ahead and turn over the mic to Chris to let him introduce himself a bit more and dive in. So take it away, Chris.
Hey, thanks so much, Vince. Yeah, I'm super excited about tonight, and definitely excited about the growth that we continue to see here in the Clarksville area, and Nashville especially too. But as Vince said, I'm Chris. I've been a local realtor actually going on 8 years now. Sold several hundred homes in and around Middle Tennessee, so very familiar with the area. I know, the places where you should and shouldn't be looking for investment property, and so I definitely, bring that knowledge to all my clients. Another thing is, we do sell a lot of turnkey properties. Some of those come, from the MLS and local listings. But I do try to source other options, right? So wholesalers, local property owners, all of the options that we might be able to find a great investment property. I source all those for my clients. And finally, I do own investment property myself, so I definitely take that approach for all my clients, looking at stuff as if I were the one buying. A little more about me. So this is my lovely family, my wife Katie, our 3 boys. We just had our 3rd child last year. He's just a little over a year old. So yeah, that's been a blessing. But how we acquired our first property is actually by making a move. So our family grew and we needed a bigger house. So we actually moved to Clarksville. We live just a little further south towards Nashville and Pleasant View. And so now that property, we turned that into our first rental property. We're in the process of looking for our next deal right now. And we've definitely become a lot more familiar with the Clarksville market, and we really love it here. So this is our local team. Actually, it's not everyone represented, unfortunately, in this photo, but we moved into a new office a little over a year ago because our staff is growing. Our property management team is added several new people recently, and we just continue to grow. As Vince had mentioned, I believe in the beginning, you know, our office here in Clarksville, we're not just a brokerage, but we definitely help a lot of people buy and sell homes. But outside of that, we also manage the properties that we sell to our investors. We help lease all those properties out and then take great care of those once they're leased. And we also have our own in-house maintenance staff. So we can, you know, assist with any type of repairs, things of that nature that need to be done with properties, as well as we actually provide rent-ready property. So as I mentioned, we don't just source properties from the MLS. We use some of our private financing within our own company to actually fund rent-ready properties. So we do have some available options when it comes to homes that we have helped to renovate. And also, as Vince mentioned, we have our own private lending department. So we do help with a lot of new construction, spec builds, flipping, you know, things that that would fall under the investment criteria under private lending. So we truly are, you know, everything under one roof. A lot of people call us a one-stop shop, and that's what we try to do for our clients. I'm pretty proud of this picture right here. You know, our team has definitely taken a commitment to excellence. We keep client satisfaction, you know, at the top of our priorities. But we did get voted the #1 real estate company in Clarksville last year, so that was pretty awesome. Clarksville Now, our local, one of our local news outlets, runs this every year, so we're going to strive for that again this year. But you know, this recognition is really just a statement to the hard work and, you know, dedication that our entire team provides. So a lot more people represented here in this photo as well. But we strive to stay on top of, you know, the local market trends. We always try to provide valuable insights to our clients and, you know, just the best service possible when it comes to that full service experience. It's always important to know who you're working with. You know, there's a lot of great agents in and around Middle Tennessee, but we definitely take pride in the reviews and the feedback that our clients give us. You know, we deeply value the 5-star rating that we have, and this is just representative of our local market. You know, we have lots more reviews nationwide from the other markets that we work in. But these testimonies, you know, they just validate the quality of our services. And we definitely believe that our client satisfaction is, you know, #1. So we strive for that 5-star review. So we're really proud. We manage now over 300 homes up into southern Kentucky, and then a lot mainly in our hub of Clarksville. And as we expanded into Nashville over the past couple of years, we've begun acquiring more properties. I actually think we maybe have a few more than are even showing up on this list, but you know, we definitely have a footprint, and we're moving south towards Nashville to really acquire more properties. And we do see the future and growth that is coming to the area. So we're definitely looking forward to helping more clients as we keep growing. So diving into the market, so we'll talk numbers for a little bit, take a look at some graphs and charts, and just get a better idea if you don't already know about the Clarksville market. But you know, the metro area of Clarksville, if you include the county as well, it is over 300,000 now, and I believe that number has close to doubled in just the past, 5 or definitely in the past 10 years, but it's grown significantly over the past 5 years and trended way up. The median age is only around 32, and that it just reflects the attraction of Clarksville is to a younger, vibrant demographic. We have, every demographic is in Clarksville, but it's got a lot of businesses. There's a lot of benefits to living in Clarksville because you do have lower home prices generally than you do in Nashville. So we see a lot of people commuting to work, living in Clarksville. So it's definitely catering to younger generations as well. The income for Clarksville is generally pretty high for Tennessee. It's a little over 47,000 in and around the Clarksville area, but that definitely showcases our economic stability, and just overall the rapid growth is attributed to several factors: a lot of businesses and job opportunities, the affordable housing, and just a high quality of life. But we'll explore that a little bit more in the presentation. Clarksville's housing market, it definitely offers a balanced mix of homeowners versus renters. So approximately from one of the most recent studies done was about 61% of people actually own their home in Clarksville. So that's a strong number, but we do have also a strong rental demand in Clarksville as well. So the average home price as of this week, when I ran the numbers for Clarksville, is around 313,000, but still compared to most cities, that's relatively low for a pretty nice, a newer, mostly updated home. That's what you'll get for around that price. And then our unemployment rate has stayed pretty low. It's pretty close to the national average, but still pretty low, only around 3.6%. And that definitely contributes, to the overall stability of our area here. But I just think that the overall combination of the affordability, the economic stability is just continuing to make Clarksville attractive for homeowners and investors. Okay, I don't want to overwhelm you with data and charts and graphs, but I think all of these are very important just to get a better idea of where we've been. So all of these charts are looking back for about 5 years history. And in the first one at the top left, I mean, you can see that the affordability, the median sales price of Clarksville has just consistently gone up. I mean, it's been a very consistent year over year upward trend. And as we saw those interest rates really starting to peak last year, we did see for the first time in a long time a dip in the market. So we saw prices come down. But this chart is to the month right here in April. You can see it's already starting to come back up. So in no way has our market crashed. We don't really see any signs of that happening at all. As far as the month supply, so the next chart in the top right-hand corner, you can see that inventory has also remained very low. At the beginning of last year, it was like at all-time lows, right as people were really starting to make moves again after the pandemic and everything. But it has not sharply increased. So we're still only around 2 months worth of inventory at any time right now, and it's trending still pretty low. The next chart, the bottom left-hand corner, you can see the available homes for sale it's painfully low right now. Any realtor, anybody in the real estate world right now in Clarksville can tell you that looking for deals can kind of feel like a needle in the haystack, but we're still finding them. We're definitely still actually seeing more negotiating power now than we have in the past several years. So in a lot of ways, it is better for buyers, but when you're looking for something new, you know, that's definitely gonna take a couple days to get a lot of new listings coming up. But in the final chart there, bottom right-hand corner, median days on market, that's the other trend that has drastically changed since the past several years. We have seen, you know, homes sitting on the market for 2, 3, 4 weeks, where used to, you know, in the first less than the first week, the homes had sold. Sometimes, you know, a lot of times were over multiple offers. So we saw that trend go way up, and it started to come back down. You know, we've seen the spring market that we're entering into, where it's generally a busier time in real estate anyway, starting to bring that number back down. But demand has stayed high, prices have stayed pretty level, and inventory has gone pretty low. So overall, that's kind of the state of our market right now. Okay, so these are the 5 top reasons that I picked, that I feel that people are moving to Clarksville. As I said, you know, a couple slides ago, my wife and our family, we moved to Clarksville ourselves last year, and you know, we've definitely seen these as being top reasons. So number one was affordability. When we were looking in and around the Nashville area for a home that fit our growing family, Clarksville was really the best option to get the most home for the least cost. And I think a lot of people are seeing that when they're looking at moving out towards Nashville. So it's definitely affordable compared to many other national cities and even local cities like Nashville and a lot of the surrounding cities. So that would be number one reason. Number two, though, is there's a lot of job opportunities. What I've seen is, you know, Clarksville has really 3 main job demographics, right? So as you'll see in a minute, we are home to Fort Campbell. So Fort Campbell, if you didn't know this, is the 2nd largest military base in the world. So there are a lot of people in and around Clarksville, both service members and civilians that are affiliated with the military. So that's number one. Number two for jobs is there's a lot of manufacturing, you know, different types of warehouse jobs and things of that nature all around Clarksville. As you'll see some top employers that I'll show you. But you know, you've got kind of that demographic of people working locally in and around Clarksville. And then you've got a third demographic, and those are people who are maybe commuting into work or possibly even working from home still, but they're commuting into work to Nashville. And so some of the southern, the southeastern sides of Clarksville are, you know, higher price points, really more of a luxury market, but because of the great schools, because of the affordability, still compared to Nashville and surrounding areas, it's attracting a lot of different people. Number 4 is the education. If you were to go to any school ranking website and look at Clarksville and then compare that to a lot of the surrounding cities, you'll see that Clarksville has some of the highest rated schools in every category: elementary, middle school, high school. A lot of people come to Clarksville just to get their kids into the good school systems that we have here. And Clarksville is also home to Austin Peay State University. It's right north of our downtown. So that's, I believe, the 5th or 6th largest state school in Tennessee. But there are a lot of students and faculty that are associated with Austin Peay that live in the area as well. And then finally, you know, just the overall quality of life in Clarksville is great for families, but it's really great for anyone. We've got a lot of local parks. We've got a lot of local events and festivals. You know, the downtown especially is really starting to revitalize. There's a lot of new businesses coming in downtown, and it's a really charming historical downtown. So. And again, just the proximity to Nashville. So if you want to go do, you know, bigger events and things of that nature, you're only about 45 minutes to an hour, maybe outside of Nashville. So it's a really easy commute into Nashville as well.
Hey, Chris, before you move on, you just brought up a really good point about how you recently purchased
Yeah.
well, not that long ago. Just out of curiosity from, when you purchased to how, I guess, where properties prices are now, how would you say that that's kind of been over the last 12 months? Because I know that there's definitely been quite a bit of shifts, and I'm just wondering if you're, knowing that your specific property, how that's kind of performed or um,
Man, that's a great point to bring up. So I guess if we were to go back and look at the slides, but prices did come down in Clarksville, but they really only came down around 4, maybe 5%, and now they're back up to, I would say if you compare now to this time last year, they're maybe only down around 2%.
got it.
So so there's only a slight drop if you look at the charts, but another dynamic that we're not really seeing as much now is this time last year, people were paying 2, 3, 4% over the asking price, right? So some of that may have been artificially inflated, but I would say that my personal home that we bought is still up. I mean, we're still in the positives on appreciation in just maybe a little over a year. So
Good.
um, yeah, it has not dropped. Like I said, it's not crashing in any way. It's continuing to be a very desirable market for both people looking to buy their own home and for investors and renters. Our office last week, I think there was a couple days where there were multiple people coming into our office just trying to find somewhere to rent. A lot of our properties do rent in the first couple of weeks or less. And so, the demand across the board for any type of home occupancy is very high right now.
Awesome. Thanks for explaining that.
Absolutely. So this is a really cool national ranking that we got, and this was from a local news station, and then they were citing the home buyers open door, that company, but they run a lot of stats. They look at a lot of markets, and we actually, according to their data, Clarksville claimed the hottest zip code in terms of home purchases and desirability. That's right here in Clarksville. So um, it's like I said, man, it's just a really desirable market for a lot of different reasons, but we claim #1 on that spot. But we continue to stay high in a lot of different national rankings. As I said, we #1 top zip code of 2022. We were ranked 5th fastest growing housing markets by in the US by new housing permits. So a lot of new construction. If you drive around Clarksville, pretty much anywhere you go, you're going to see new construction, homes, businesses, multifamily apartments. I mean, it is not slowing down in terms of growth coming to the area. As I said, we are the second largest military base in the world. That's Fort Campbell right here in Clarksville. But that's a pretty big stat. And again, I believe there's over 100,000 people, civilians and service members, in and around this area affiliated with Fort Campbell. So that keeps the housing market going a lot. People renting, people moving, buying, selling. A lot of military members in our market. And then a recent stat I just saw was we were actually ranked the 4th best city in the nation for new business attraction. I know that our local business development board is doing a lot of outreach. They are going to other states, reaching out to large companies and businesses, and recruiting people to come to our area. And as you'll see in a little bit, I've got some maps that kind of show where some of these new businesses are coming. But I thought that was pretty cool. And as you mentioned, that's one of our top criteria that events that we use, right, when we're looking for markets to move into and recommend to our investors.
Absolutely. I would definitely agree with that.
All right, so let's jump into it. These are just some of the top employers in Clarksville. Google, they built a data center here not long ago. Bridgestone Tires located here. Hankook has their tire factory here. Those are employing hundreds, if not thousands, of people alone. LG has a home base here in Clarksville. We've got Train, HVAC, a nationwide company. As I said, the U.S. Army, Fort Campbell is a big part of it. We've got the university outside of downtown and our large school system. So Clarksville has a lot of schools all over the city. So the city of Clarksville itself is a big employer of a lot of people here in the area. Let's go to the next one here. So here's a little bit more of future growth, and these are all pulled from local source, city sources and websites that kind of just show some of the projected growth. You can see here where the Google data center is just to the northeast of Interstate 24, running back towards Nashville, the Hankook Tire Factory. So a lot of this on the eastern side of the interstate has been designated as our industrial area, right? So this is where a lot of these businesses are moving to. And if you can tell by looking at that map there, it's tons of land. I mean, it is hundreds and thousands of just raw acres of land that have been farms for many years, but a lot of these farms are just not producing the way they used to, and a lot of the owners are seeing the great profits that they've been able to do when selling to some of these companies. So I see, when I look at this, I just see a lot more room for expansion, and that's one of the reasons that you have so many businesses moving here. It's low land costs compared to many other states. Tennessee doesn't have a state income tax, so that's definitely attractive for a lot of people, and just a lot of benefits that Tennessee negotiates to help get these businesses here. Right off exit, though, this chart, this map on the right-hand side, this was just announced this past week, but this is a parcel of land that the city actually owns, the city of Clarksville, and they have created this master plan, and they're currently working with a developer to put in some specific businesses right off of exit 8. And again, that's in a little bit of the further south part of Clarksville, but one of the most desirable areas of Clarksville, right off the interstate. So there's a lot of expansion coming in there, and I just see a ton of future growth happening all along the interstate corridor down towards Nashville. This was one of the biggest news stories and businesses that was announced last fall, but Clarksville is about to, over the next coming years as they build this company, they're about to get the largest electric vehicle battery manufacturer in the United States. It's coming right here to Clarksville. So LG Chem, they are investing $3.2 billion into Clarksville. And I definitely think that speaks for a company to make that type of an investment into a city and what they think and see kind of as the future growth of our city and town. But the initial parcel you can see in the top right hand map there is very large, and it's 420 acre tract right there. So that's going to be an expansive business and company and bring a lot more jobs to Clarksville. And as you saw before, we've already got the tire manufacturing. We're getting the EV battery plants. So there's actually, from just being involved in the community and hearing things, that there's a lot of other vehicle related businesses that are looking at moving into Clarksville. So nothing too solid on any other businesses at the moment, but I'm sure there'll be some big announcements in the coming months and years. So the last little picture there in the bottom is just a few of the other companies, how many jobs they're expected to bring. but the FedEx distribution center is actually another business that's in process now. Amazon actually just opened a new fulfillment center here in Clarksville. So, I mean, it seems like every time you turn around, there's somebody else announcing that they're coming to Clarksville.
And Chris, this is so helpful for you to bring up because, ultimately with this number of jobs, right? Looking at just all of this list in this little section at the bottom here, you're obviously going to have a twofold kind of event happen, right? Which is there's going to be a number of these higher skilled type of jobs that are going to allow those employees to actually have the income to purchase property. That's going to help drive up the demand, and therefore those that do buy kind of before these plants and these jobs are there, that's going to help with your appreciation. But then on the flip side of that, there's going to be plenty of these folks that don't buy that are going to be more comfortable renting. And therefore you're going to, you as an investor who are going to provide rentals are going to have an awesome opportunity to capture those tenants that are secured by these really awesome jobs. So I think that's really exciting news, especially to see the volume and the number of jobs in the different industries associated. These are all really big names, right? Amazon, FedEx, LG, right? These are household names, so it's nice to hear that these are the types of employers that are moving to Clarksville.
Definitely, man. You can really start to see the vision pretty quickly as you just look at the data and the announcements that continue to come out. I don't know if I missed it or not. I had another slide, but I may have skipped over that. I real quickly just wanted to mention about Clarksville's downtown. So I apologize, I don't see the slide here. I don't know what happened to it, but the downtown of Clarksville is also really starting to see a lot of improvements. One of the biggest of those is the F&M Bank Arena just opened. That's a 6,000 seat stadium. It's going to serve, as a big community gathering point. Austin P, they're going to start hosting their basketball games in that stadium, but it's also going to bring in other events, concerts, things of that nature. So really big venue for downtown. And we've started to see more restaurants, local breweries, things like that, other local shops starting to really open up in larger numbers in our downtown. So that's been really cool to see, the revitalization there. The Milan Enterprise Company, they just announced they're going to be actually building a 10-story, I believe it'll be the tallest building in downtown Clarksville, a 10-story mixed-use development that'll have some commercial space, some residential space, and really bring a new new vibe to downtown. So that's going to be pretty cool to start to see as that continues to build out. But the ongoing revitalization all over Clarksville, it's just a benefit to residents. It draws a lot of new home buyers and people that maybe are new to the area and they're not quite ready to buy homes, so they rent. But as we've seen in all of these slides, like there's just so much that caters to such a wide variety of people that I just see Clarksville being a very stable city. As we saw in the numbers, they've stayed stable over the past year, even when other cities have seen much more drastic downturns. And if we look at historical numbers, I mean, Clarksville has fared well through many previous downturns. So a lot of great stuff happening here, Vince.
Oh, definitely.
All right. Well, at this point in the presentation, I've actually selected several different properties. We're going to take a look at those, go into a little deep dive into the numbers, and just give you some really good examples. All of these properties, at least as of today, were still available. So, if you do have any questions, if you see a property you're interested in, please reach out to Vince or myself, and we would definitely love to get you more information, a virtual tour of the property, whatever your interest level might be. So with no further ado, we'll jump right into the very first property. All right, a needle in the haystack, I like to call this one, because multifamily properties in Clarksville have just been really hard to come by, especially ones that have numbers that work. And this is one that actually just came back on the market, but it is a all brick, really great looking newer fourplex that I believe only had one vacant unit. I apologize. Actually, all the units are rented. So this would be a real turnkey property that with no vacancy, and at the current rent rates, with the numbers that you see to the right-hand side of the screen, the monthly cash flow on this property is going to be over $1,000. That's factoring in our property management fees, taxes, insurance, and anything else included. So this one really came out good looking at the numbers. But yeah, definitely one that it's going to go fast. So if you're interested, definitely let us know.
And Chris, just to kind of add to that, like you said, the multifamily space is really quite challenging. There's not as much of this inventory in Clarksville. And for those of you that are not aware, what's nice about a 4-unit, right, is that is considered in the residential, or I should say conventional lending space. So once you go to 5 units and above, you get into what's called commercial loans. There's just a different set of guidelines and requirements and down payments that come with those commercial loans. So what's nice about a 4-unit is you're still held to the same type of conventional financing that we're used to for that, even 1 to 2-unit stuff. So really big benefit there. And then another thing that you're going to notice is our interest rates here are relatively low when you kind of look around and look on the market. A lot of this is the way we're able to do this is assuming that there's some form of seller credit that we're able to apply towards buying down the rate. Now, everybody's interest rate is going to be on a case by case. There's a lot of factors that go into this, but I just wanted to provide a little insight of how we're doing this. And we are doing this quite often. Honestly, these are for 30-year fixed rate. For those of you that are a little more comfortable with financing, understand financing a little bit more, there's even more aggressive ways that we're seeing our investors, improve the financials, and that's by even implementing, ARM products, right? 7-year ARMs or 10-year ARMs, and that stands for adjustable rate mortgages, right? So it's just really depending on your comfortability level, but there's definitely ways by leveraging our preferred lender to tap in and to really kind of improve the current financing of what, some of you may be, hearing or seeing on the news. So I just wanted to kind of give a little insight to that.
Definitely. Yeah, you sometimes have to get creative with financing these days. So that's always good to have those other options. Thanks, Fence. Okay, this is another one that I just found these searching the MLS. As I said in the beginning, not every property is a property that we own or that we've financed. We have to source all options available. But this is another MLS listed property, but the numbers looked really good with this home. So another fourplex, and on this one, it's also fully leased. And at the current rent rates, you're a little bit lower purchase price on this one, and it's still positive cash flow, a little over $680 a month. So with the future outlook of Clarksville, you can bet that properties like this are only going to get better as rents continue to go up over time. All right, a little contrast to multifamily. We've got some brand new construction. As I mentioned, anywhere almost that you drive around Clarksville, there is new construction. And this is a really great, reputable local builder that's building in this neighborhood. We actually manage 5 or 6 homes now in this neighborhood, and they all have rented very quickly. But unlike last year, the builder is now offering some really great incentives. So right off the bat, on several of their properties. They are offering a $15,000 concession. So that's without even doing any negotiating. I can tell you just from personal experience that I've been able to do even better than that, helping a few new clients. So people who are maybe newer at investing or maybe experienced, and you just have realized that new construction's a great option. It is, because you may not have as high of numbers in the beginning, but you also aren't going to have unexpected maintenance. You're buying a brand new product that is going to last usually maintenance free for several years at the least. But another great perk of new construction in Tennessee anyways is that it always comes with a 12-month builder warranty. So right after closing, within that first year, if there's issues, things that maybe didn't show up right away or during the home inspection, those things can be fixed from the builder at no charge. So it has been really great for a lot of our investors to check out some of the new construction options that we've got. But with this particular home, again, they're offering the $15,000 concession. I haven't even buffered that into the numbers, but you can see that with just surface numbers and rent rates that you're cash flowing about $220 a month. So that's pretty great. And it's this area where these homes are is in a prime location where a lot of new commercial development is under construction or recently completed. And I can tell you from boots on the ground that it's a great neighborhood to look at.
Yeah, Chris, I just wanted to add, there's a huge element here that you touched on, which is the concessions that's typically involved with new construction. So as you can imagine, pre-owned homes or homes that are typically on the MLS and they're sold by just various different sellers, it's going to be a case-by-case basis on what kind of level of negotiating that seller may be willing to participate in. Whereas a builder, somebody who has a lot of inventory that has multiple projects they have to finish, and their financing is oftentimes contingent upon completing and selling, units within their development. They're going to be more apt and more willing to negotiate and to offer these kind of incentives that Chris is talking about. So these incentives are also oftentimes applied towards closing costs, or like I said earlier, buying the rate down. You can more than likely improve this interest rate by leveraging some of that money to buy that rate down. But I will tell you that this is a great opportunity to target builders right now, or to target new construction, because I can't tell you how often it was, 12 to 24 months ago, when new builders, they could increase prices consistently. Every phase that they completed, they can go up in price and people were paying for it. And now to be able to have that go in the opposite way and to get brand new quality property at a discount, or to have these concessions, is definitely something I would consider. So I'm glad you touched on that. That's super important, and definitely could be advantageous to some of our investors.
Absolutely. Yeah. For me personally, like I definitely am eyeing new construction as well from just the maintenance standpoint, because that, a lot of people look at the cash flow numbers on the purchase, but one repair might blow your whole cash flow for the year if you're looking at a different property that maybe looks better on the surface, but it's an older home. So always something that I keep on my mind and always mention when I'm talking to investors. All right, and on the flip side of that, here is an existing home. So this one is an older home. It was built in 1977. However, it was recently renovated. The home has been completely flipped, and outside of a couple things, I mean, it's pretty turnkey. But it's got a lower entry price, currently listed at $269 as of today. I feel like there's probably a little negotiating room on that, just from little research that I did. But either way, even at that list price, it's and the average rents are run, all these comps and all these numbers I pull for myself. I pull fresh data as I'm putting these property presentations together. So all of this is local as of today. I estimated the rent to be around $1,700. Being that this is in one of the most desirable zip codes and locations of Clarksville, I would probably try to push that rent even higher to initially list that for an investor. But at 1,700, this home was producing $272 a month in positive cash flow. I guess, again, just to mention it, the only downside to something like this is that there could potentially be some maintenance costs, but that's why we always do a thorough home inspection during the buying process, right? So you're going to have a full list of any potential issues that could come up. You can prepare for those, set some money aside for those. And then as we onboard the property to our property management, we have our own maintenance manager that's going to go out to the home as well and conduct another thorough inspection just to make sure that we know, anything that could potentially be an issue, that we have that on our radar. That's more important even so for existing homes and older homes like this one.
Awesome, Chris.
I'm gonna let you take this one.
Cool, man. I appreciate it. So as Chris was kind of showing multiple properties, right, from 4 units to single families, I did want to just quickly go over this one. And this is a nice single family, list price $371,900. We assume, similar down payment, 30%. Then you'll get to that capital needed. Gross rents, we're backing out all the expenses, and we get to that monthly cash flow after fixed expenses. The reason that I'm just kind of jumping in here is this is a Marshall Reddick rent ready. So what that means is Marshall Reddick, the company, has purchased this property. I actually don't know the date it was purchased, but it was purchased not too long ago, and we've done a renovation to it. We personally have went in and upgraded and remodeled, new appliances, new flooring, basically, brought it up to par and to generate the highest rent we can. And we actually do have this property rented according to the pro forma here, and it is rented at $1,950. So the value here is we control this entire operation. We have there's a very small group of properties that we actually buy, renovate, and resell to our investors. And the bonus to that is, like I said, we control it all. We're very willing to assist our clients to make sure that the property is in great condition beforehand. We still encourage all of the due diligence, like the inspections. But this is nice for those people that might be in a jam. Maybe they're in a 1031 exchange and they really need to get an offer accepted. For example, you'll see this highlighted below here. Ask about our special private financing available through Marshall Reddick to boost your ROI. So this is assuming that we use some of our exclusive private financing to leverage and buy this property. We're able to offer what's much better than what our private rates and terms are. So this scenario is assuming a 3-1 ARM. So that means this rate is fixed for 3 years. After 3 years, it will go adjustable. But nonetheless, this might be good for someone who has a self-directed retirement account, or, like I said, up against a 1031 exchange. And you can totally buy this via conventional as well. But we just wanted to kind of explain to you folks that there is a very small pool of properties that we actually buy and renovate that we can also sell to you guys if that's more of your speed, where you just want something already rented, updated, improved, and just already performing. So this would be a good example of that. So wanted to bring this to your attention. Of course, if there are more questions or you want to get into more of the nitty gritty, I'm happy to have that call or bring Chris on. One thing that I haven't pointed out is you're going to see at the very bottom, there's a 15-year projected profit and 15-year annual return on investment. So what these numbers represent is this is assuming that you held the property for 15 years. This would be the profit that you would make. And the way that this profit is generated is it basically takes into account all of the cash flow that you've accumulated for 15 years, all of the appreciation that we forecast, the principal pay down. So what that means is basically every mortgage payment that you make from the tenant, right? The tenant pays you, you take that money and make the mortgage payment. There's a portion of that what you owe that's paid down, the principal is paid down every month. So you owe less, every month. And we're accumulating that as well as your selling expenses. Obviously, the only two ways to actually obtain this profit is either to sell the property, which come with expenses, and we've factored those in. The alternative to that would be to do either a cash out refinance or a HELOC, right? So that's just kind of giving you a highlight of what kind of money could be on the table for you in those 15 years. Again, this is also assuming that we do not increase rents for 15 years. I'm going to be safe to say that that's not going to be accurate. That's a very conservative approach, as rents typically go up at least every year or every 2 years. So with that said, that gives you an idea of that profit figure. And then that return on investment, that's basically taking that profit and dividing it by how much, how much investment capital was spent, and then dividing that by the amount of years held. So there's a more detailed calculation to this, and that is you can find on our website, and it's more interactive where you can alter numbers yourself. These are obviously for the presentation purposes. These are fixed on a PDF, but I'm happy to walk through this. And as you alter the years, the ROIs and the profits change, and those are things that we can work through together to fit kind of your expectations and how you guys plan on holding this property. As we move on, I kind of wanted to start to close down by explaining some of our last bit of information, which is property management. So as I've mentioned, property management is a really key piece of the puzzle. In addition to the day-to-day operation, I would say the main purpose of property management is to essentially keep you out of trouble, keep you out of court, make sure you're following the laws, make sure that we're handling all of the day-to-day nitty-gritty that allows you to go to work, make an income, save money to hopefully buy another one. I would consider it a partner to help you scale. The 7 or 8% that you might save by managing yourself, I don't think oftentimes it does not outweigh the efforts put forth that are required to properly manage. So there's a little bit of the information here. We have a 7 or 8% typically is what most of you folks are experienced based on a single family up to 4 unit. We have a very simple fee structure. The only other fee that you're going to really want to keep an eye on is our leasing fee. So we take 50% of the first month's lease. That's to place the tenant. That is paid to the leasing agent for their efforts to market, do showings, background checks on the tenants, and then ultimately placing that tenant. And then a pretty straightforward lease renewal fee. And if there's a tenant late fee, that fee that we charge is split 50-50 between Marshall Reddick and you, the owner, which is nice. I can tell you from someone, I own a few properties. Some of those are in states in which Marshall Reddick does not manage, and I am using it. I ultimately have to use another manager, and I will tell you that there's little things that they do that Marshall Reddick doesn't do that is really important and something that's really caught my eye. Like for one, the maintenance, right? We definitely have great resources and vendors for our maintenance, but that is not a profit center to Marshall Reddick. Whereas the company in another market that I'm working with, that is a profit center for them. So ultimately, when they go out and there's a maintenance issue, they get to send their company and they get to make a profit on the repairs that I'm having to face. We feel like that's a conflict of interest. So what we like to do is we have plenty of awesome third-party referrals that we connect and maintenance people where we just provide a bid direct. There's no markup, there's no addition. We don't feel like it's appropriate to make money when you're essentially losing money. And then another nice thing is, you only pay a management fee when, you have a tenant in place. Vacant units are not charged a management fee, which is a really nice feature. And that's another thing that I learned the hard way. I have another management company that charges the management fee no matter what, right? And you would say, well, what's their motivation to rent out a property? And to be honest, I don't know. So that is something that we alter to make sure that we're under the same motivation. We're only taking money when you're making money, right? So that's it. That's how we like to do business, and we want to keep you guys happy and hopefully earn your business for more and more transactions. So that's a little bit about property management and how that works. Again, a huge part of our business that is obviously free to all you folks is our education. We have free education. We have tons of in-person presentation, webinars like we're hosting tonight, articles online, tons and tons of information. You can just see here, you go to the Learn tab, there's a QR code here, plenty of articles, previously recorded presentations that you can go through and pour over, not to mention our financial calculators and all of the data that you're able to pull from our website. But I don't want you to forget that, you know, there's tons of live individuals here at Marshall Reddick that can talk to you and work through some of the more intricate, detailed questions that you may have, and lots and lots of folks that are willing to help. If you guys, for those of you that are really data driven and appreciate that kind of information, we do have market data packets on every market that we operate in. These are updated annually. They're free for you. It's going to give you more of the high level demographics, a lot of what Chris covered tonight, but ultimately these are things that you can kind of visit and kind of review on your own. You'll see the link below, marshallreddick.com/market data. Again, if you're interested in this and would like us to send it to you, I can help with that, no problem at all. But this is another great resource, and you know, for you to take advantage of some of the efforts that we've put forth. Last but not least, this is our Marshall Reddick rating ebook. I really think that this is a good read for everybody. Whether you're going to invest or not, whether it's this year or in 5 years, I just think this gives a really good overall education of how we rate property classes. You're going to notice on every one of our properties, there's an associated property class. I'll kind of just give you the really brief high level. A lot of that metric is based on the median home price of the area. So there's certain areas that are charted off that we leverage, and you can find that within the ebook. But those areas, based off those median home prices, we rank properties in letters from luxury to D class based on that median home price. So you'll see a lot of what we focus on is luxury. Let's say luxury to B class is kind of our market, right? A and B take the lion's share of that, and that's where we feel like we get the most value, the most bang for our buck, but also are able to attract the most quality tenants, because what you'll notice is there's going to be just a different demand of tenants as you get into a lower property class and vice versa. So it is something, it's just a more detailed explanation of how this all works. I highly recommend you guys take a look at this for your information. And let's see, as we close out here, you can again find our consultation. If you want to have a consultation, this is my information here. Again, I will be doing follow-up calls after this presentation throughout the week. Those calls can be as long or as short as you want. It could just be, hey Vince, I was just looking at the presentation and I just wanted to hear it. Great, no problem. Or hey, I'm seriously considering Clarksville or even another market. I'm happy to have those conversations to see what's the best fit for you. Of course, I'd love to be able to bring you to Chris and have more of a detailed combo about what we can accomplish here in Tennessee. So again, here's my contact information. This is recorded and this will be sent out, but in case anybody wanted to jot that down. Also, feel free to look us up on social media or Yelp. We have our recordings on YouTube. See what other people who've actually worked with us are saying. We obviously appreciate our reviews and value that very much, and we look forward to earning some business from you folks and being able to answer questions and help you guys achieve your investment goals. So thank you so much to Chris for spending the time with us and teaching us more about Clarksville, and thank you to all the attendees tonight. I know it's there's a lot of other things to be doing, and we appreciate you spending the time with us and learning a little bit more about our market and what we do. So thank you all so much. Appreciate it. Yep, and we'll be reaching out soon.